Hey everyone, welcome to the first in a series of new podcast episodes where we will get to talk with other crocodilian biologists and conservationists. This first episode, we are going to be chatting with Dr. Marisa Tellez from the Crocodile Research Coalition in Belize. Dr. Tellez is going to tell us all about the crocodiles of Belize, the work of the CRC in their conservation, as well as some of the fun and exciting things they do to get the community involved and help raise funds for their efforts. So, stay right here. Don't go anywhere. I'm Mark Perpetua, and this is a special Croc Chat podcast. First, I got to give thanks to my sponsors, rodentpro.com, for supplying me with quality whole prey items for all of my reptiles, and Outback Survival Gear, a great selection of boots, outerwear, and of course, authentic Australian hats. All right, well, welcome back to Croc Chat, everybody. Today is a very special episode because today I have the pleasure of chatting with Dr. Marisa Tellez from the Crocodile Research Coalition in Belize. Dr. Tellez, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
No, it's my pleasure. Why don't you go ahead and start with your background, what it is you do, especially through the Crocodile Research Coalition.
Yeah, so I am the executive director and the founder of the Crocodile Research Coalition based in Belize. And our mission is to promote the conservation of crocodiles, their habitat, as well as adjacent wildlife throughout Central America and the Caribbean through research, education, and community involvement. So not only are we conducting research, collecting data in regards of capture surveys, so getting tissue samples to look at the genetics of the animals, to look at the health of the animals, conducting nocturnal eye shine surveys to get an estimate of how many crocodiles are in an area. But we're also about involving community in our research. So that's either through volunteering or being part of our community science database. So anytime anyone sees any type of wildlife, they go ahead and contact us with various data, which helps us to look at distribution and migration patterns of various animals in our area. We do various educational outreach. Right now, we are gearing up for Croctober. Croctober is a huge month for us. We go out and conduct research several times a week. And we have a big marathon that's coming up as well in a Croctober. And yeah, we're just constantly out there just trying to get people to build pride and stewardship of crocodiles. We're not really necessarily trying to make everyone crocodile lovers, but mainly just to be able to see a crocodile and just go, wow, that's a majestic animal.
And that's perfect. Community involvement is probably super important. One, for living side by side, like you say. Not everybody's going to be a herpetologist or fall in love with crocodiles the way we do, but just having them respect nature, respect the animals they live with, and understand how to coexist. So yeah, I like the community outreach. I love the education part. Do you focus mostly on crocodiles themselves?
Yeah, our main focus is crocodiles. So here in Belize, we have two species of crocodiles. We have the Morlet's crocodile and the American crocodile. We also have a satellite program in Dominican Republic, where there it is the American crocodile. And it is one of the most unique populations of American crocodiles throughout its range, mainly because this is a population that lives in a hypersaline lake within Dominican Republic. The salinity of this lake, Lago Enriquillo, it gets to even 50,000 parts per thousand. So it's hyper saline. It's more, the saline is higher than that of the sea, of the ocean surrounding Dominican Republic. Yet these animals are thriving and adapting. It's a very unique situation there. So yes, we are concentrating on the crocodiles, but in regards to other animals, it is also important to kind of understand the interactions of animals or what else is going on within crocodile habitat, because everything is integrated together. Everything is interconnected. And the reason why we also study manatee through drone surveys, we have game camera traps out on various parts of the forest around Placencia Lagoon to look at jaguar, tapir, our wild pig, deer. It's because, that's great. Let's just say everyone loves crocodiles around Placencia Lagoon, where we are established, where we're located. Everyone loves crocodiles. People want crocodiles on their property because they love them so much and they have pride and stewardship over them. But what's the point of conserving the animals if all the mangroves are gone? If their main prey source is gone? Everything that we've done technically was not a success. So that's why it's really important to understand about everything going on. So it's not only about conserving crocodiles or promoting the conservation of jaguar and manatee here. It's also promoting the conservation of mangroves in our area, as well as some of the other forests.
Makes sense, because an animal cannot survive if it doesn't have the space and habitat to survive in. I was also thinking, in addition to your two species of crocodile, as far as crocodilians, you also have spectacled caiman in Belize, correct?
Yes, no, maybe not. So this is really interesting because Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, all the other countries in Central America have spectacled caiman except for us.
Really?
Yes.
So when they say don't trust everything you see on the internet, not all of those range maps are 100% correct.
Correct. And this is where it gets interesting this is where you really have to talk to locals and also getting stories from rural and indigenous people. And I always thought it was weird that all the other countries have caiman except for Belize. And I'll never forget when I was at the airport picking up a student one time. Some guy saw, the truck, it says CRC, and he comes up to me and he goes, "So how many crocodile species do we have in Belize?" And I said, 2. And he said, "No, you're wrong." I was like, "Well, you can't really identify hybrid as a species." He's like, "I'm not talking about hybrids." I'm like, "Well, we don't have alligator here." And he said, "No, we have caiman here." And I said, no, we don't. Like, we don't have caiman. There's maybe a record from the 1960s about possibly seeing caiman in Belize, but there's no caiman here. He's like, "No, there's caiman here." And and this is where I always tell people when it comes to outreach or education, you really need to be open-minded and talk with people. I have a lot of academic knowledge. Yes, I have a lot of field knowledge as well, but I'm never going to have as much knowledge as the fishermen or the rural villages that have been living alongside this one population of crocodiles for generations, where knowledge that has been passed down to them from their great-great-grandparents, those people are going to have some really unique knowledge about that population that nothing that scientific books or universities are going to be able to tell you. So you always have to be open-minded and receive knowledge from all walks of life. So I sat down with this guy while I was waiting for my student, and he starts telling me about how when he was younger, like he was an early teenager, he was hunting caiman in northern Belize with his dad and his grandfather, because at this time, this is when the skin trade for crocodilians was a really big thing. And crocodilians almost around the world went extinct during this time for the fashion industry. And he described caiman to a T. Like, this was not someone who caught some smaller, more or less crocodiles and called them caiman. No, he knew what he was talking about. And he talked about how the caiman were easier to hunt than the crocodiles. Plus the caiman, the skin quality, they got more money for the skin because the skin quality was more favorable in the fashion industry. So that's what they targeted. He's like, no, we hunted. He's like, us Belizeans, we hunted caiman to extinction fairly recently. Oh, wow. And I'm collecting all this information, and it's talking with some other people. They do remember caiman, but because outside scientists, whether you want to say the Western world, the global North, whatever, because they didn't identify the Cayman, they are not acknowledging the rural and indigenous knowledge. But one thing this man did tell me was that it was very hard to go in the southwest part of Belize to hunt for caiman. So right by the border of Guatemala, where there's a lot of caiman. He mentioned how they never went there, or you would hear about these crocodile hunters, how they never went there because of the local Maya. The Maya kept outsiders out. So he mentioned to me, he's like, if you want to know if possibly caiman are still around in Belize, he's like, that's where you got to go. He's like, that's where you got to go, is the southwest, because the Maya weren't hunting the caiman. They were keeping everyone out of their land. So he's like, I guarantee there's probably some caiman still in there that no one has recorded in, Western science or anything like that. So yes, so that's the long way of just saying, yes, there probably is caiman, but it's just not recorded in scientific publications, I guess you can say.
Which makes sense, because scientists can't be everywhere recording everything, which is why you say talking to indigenous people is also important. They're going to be in the field at a time when you're not, and hopefully seeing things. And in this case, a correct identification.
Yes.
Sometimes I get a little skeptical because I see too many mistakes, at least here, between even just alligators and crocodiles out of Florida. But if I correct it as a New Yorker, I don't know what I'm talking about. But if it's on the beach and in the ocean, it had to be a crocodile, not an alligator. Well, okay.
Yeah.
The yellow stripes, the broad nose, the dark skin. You're from Florida, you know more than I do, but it's not that kind of a match. But yeah, that's the only problem. I get a little reluctant sometimes. It's mostly copperhead snakes up here with people. Everybody thinks everything's a copperhead, going to kill them. But so the misidentification is where I sometimes get a little skeptical of some claims.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, if you got a good, knowledgeable person in the field, that's going to be able to help.
Absolutely.
All right. So as far as the two species that we know for sure are there, the American croc and the Moralett's croc, for people who are watching who aren't familiar with every different species of croc, a lot of people, it's a crocodile or an alligator. They don't realize there's 17 species last I counted, but I know that's ever changing. I want to get to that a little later too. But they're different in habitat as well as appearance. You want to tell us just a little bit about the differences between Moralettes and American crocs?
Yeah, sure. The American crocodile is the larger of the two species. It can get to about 13 feet. That's like the average length of an American crocodile. This is the crocodile species that you can find mainly along the coast and the Keys. It's considered our saltwater crocodile because it can tolerate the salt from the sea. And so this is the species that's going in between a lot of the islands here. However, because of a lot of development and habitat destruction that's happening along the coast as well as the Keys, this is a species that's now starting to move further inland. And now you're starting to see hybridization even more so between the American crocodile and the Moralett's crocodile. The Moralett's crocodile is more of your freshwater species. You're going to find it more in the inland lakes, as well as lagoons, rivers, streams. And this is a smaller crocodile. On average, it gets to be about 9 feet. And this has more of a broader snout, similar to an alligator. So this is why a lot of people sometimes will say that we have alligators here in Belize. It's because the Moralett's crocodile has a round snout like an American alligator. And this, for anyone that's listening, there is a little bit of a myth of crocodiles have a more pointy snout and alligators and caimans have more of a round snout. That's not the best way to tell the difference between an alligator and a crocodile, because the Moralett's crocodile, as well as the mugger crocodile, have very round snouts like alligators. And even at very large sizes, a Nile crocodile and a saltwater crocodile can also get more of that round snout, similar like an American alligator.
Mm-hmm.
The best way to tell the difference between a crocodile and an alligator is that when a crocodile closes its snout, you can see the teeth from the upper and the lower snout. When an alligator closes its mouth, you can only see the teeth from the upper snout because it has an overbite. So that's the best way to tell the difference between a crocodile and an alligator. Now, our Morlet's crocodile, why it has evolved a round snout like an American alligator is because it's more of a mammal eater. Yes, it eats fish, but it also predates a lot on turtles and small mammals. So it needs that rounder snout to have more of a surface area or a larger surface area. So it is more easily able to crush its prey. Whereas an American crocodile, it has a very pointy snout, and that's because 95% of its diet, it consists of fish. And having a pointy snout, it's better for catching fish. That's why when you look at gharials from India and Nepal, that very, 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 very slender snout, it's great for catching fish.
Just much less resistance moving through the water, grabbing at a fast-moving fish, as
Correct,
opposed to a shoreline predator on mammals, birds, and turtles. I actually have 2 Morlets in my collection, and they're amazing animals, but they are a lot more, I'll say, food aggressive. It's not aggressive towards me, but the feeding difference between feeding a crocodile, even at 4 feet, my sizes that I got to work with in captivity in New York, compared to a 4-foot alligator are almost like night and day.
Yes, we have crocodile ambassadors at the CRC. These are animals that can't be released back in the wild. And all of our Morlet's crocodiles they are very food aggressive. They want their food. They will eat and eat until their belly is full, but they'll also chase you until you feed them. They are definitely the more bold species than the American crocodile.
Okay, so it's not just crocodile in general, but Morlets more specifically in this case. Yeah, I got mine from a zoo where the same thing. It wanted to eat all day. And because of that, it was never resting. Anybody that approached the cage, it was out of its basking spot, swimming back and forth, snapping at the glass. So I don't think it was psychologically stressed, but probably very physically stressed. So they thought a private collection where it wasn't viewed every day. But when I got it, it was high strung, lunging. It took me about a month, but I got it stationing for food, and now it waits. So again, to show some of the more intelligent side of a crocodilian that other people don't get to see.
Correct. Yeah.
So yeah, they are amazing. So you mentioned some of the threats earlier. What do you think are the biggest threats currently among both species? Or
the 2 main threats would be habitat destruction. And with the habitat destruction, it is now increasing the encounter rate between crocodiles and people. However, it's fairly easy to coexist with our species because they don't view humans as prey. They would prefer not to be near humans. So I think it's been about 3 years, we've had 0 attacks from crocodiles, like crocodiles towards people. Like it really doesn't happen here. Overall, the people of Belize know how to coexist with wildlife fairly well. What's happening though is we are getting a mass immigration of people from other countries, even from the state of Florida, where they're so used to, I see an animal, call someone to remove it, which that doesn't happen here in Belize. People educate you to coexist with animals, but because these people are coming with a different mindset, that sometimes can cause some conflict with us. So right now we're really revving up our education for even those that want to come visit Belize or live here in Belize, because it's the beauty of Belize is people really want to coexist with nature, which is really amazing. We are losing that habitat, but I would also say the other biggest threat, it's pollution. 2018, we had a major drought here, and the pollution, as well as the agricultural runoff coming from some nearby farms, because the river was low, because the river was flowing very slow, it was just this nasty cocktail mix of pollutants mixing in the river, and it caused a major die-off, which included long-term suffering of the crocodile population there. But we are seeing how not properly putting away your construction waste or just dumping in the lagoon, dumping in the waterways, we are seeing how that is impacting our crocodiles. And if it's impacting crocodiles, it's impacting the fish we're eating, it's impacting the crabs we're eating, it's impacting the lobsters, it's impacting our health. So we right now are conducting a study at the moment to utilize crocodiles as biological indicators for the health of the environment.
Well, that's incredible as well, because I don't think people would picture a big animal like an alligator or a crocodile that is an apex predator being an indicator species. They look so tough, but they also are just as vulnerable as any other form of life.
Yes, correct. And
with the heavy level of toxins.
Exactly. Being chronically exposed to the pollution, eventually that's going to wear down their immune system. And this is an animal that has the second strongest innate immune system in the world. Your innate immune system is the first line of defense. When you're exposed to the cold virus, or the flu virus or bacteria, you get a splinter in your hands. Your first line of defense is the innate immune system, and they have the second strongest, the first being that of the Komodo dragon. So if you have an animal that is dying with the second strongest innate immune system in the world that we know of, I mean, that should really be that canary in the coal mine, and that should cause some alarm.
Yeah, I would definitely say so. Probably a little bit more than the canary, because if something that big is dying, it's a lot more extreme, especially to ourselves. So habitat restoration, I'm assuming that's a big part then of some of your programs. I remember some of the emails I had back and forth with your program coordinators. That's Sarah? I get the name right?
Yes, Sarah.
Good. She had mentioned that one of the weekends that she was very busy on a mangrove restoration project.
Yes, we were gifted 38 acres on a key right by Placencia Lagoon or Placencia Peninsula, where we are established. And there was a man-made canal that was dug up, and it caused a lot of destruction on the 38-acre reserve. And right now we are conducting mangrove restoration. Because with the mangrove restoration, it is strengthening the foundation of the key. It's providing more habitat. There are little crocodiles that are found there ever so often. And it provides more habitat for resident and migratory birds. And it's also, mangroves are Mother Nature's water filter. So having the mangroves there, it also ensures the water quality in the area. So right now we are conducting mangrove restoration on the key, and then we are hoping that we can utilize everything that we're doing on the key as a model, and then start conducting some restoration around the Placencia Lagoon.
Very good. All right, so I have a question here. One, I read a paper that said there are 2 new species of American crocodile being described. And my question is, how widely accepted is it? I can only find the one report. Obviously, it's very, very new, so I don't know if it's accepted, but it seems to be off 2 islands by the Yucatan Peninsula, so very close to Belize. What is going on with that?
So I'm headed to a meeting next week. It is a regional crocodile meeting, so I know that will be discussed at this meeting. The funny thing is, I had a PhD student. She just defended her thesis, so now she is Dr. Helen Sung.
Congratulations.
She had been conducting a genetic analysis of crocodiles throughout Belize, and these are samples that were collected from 2013. She had 8 years worth, almost 300 samples. And she found something very similar to what that paper described. And neither of them knew that they were kind of doing the same thing. Granted, he's describing samples only from Mexico. She's describing samples only from Belize. And so it is possible it is two different species or subspecies, because that's something that she was teasing into. It might not be completely two different species. It might be more ecomorphs or ecological significant units where, yes, there's some genetic difference, but at the same time, there's not that much. So I would say it's still a little bit debatable, and I'm interested in how the discussion will go next week at this meeting.
Yeah, because I actually had a hard time finding that paper again before talking with you, so I didn't notice if they actually gave species names to these two individual populations yet, so I wouldn't know what they are. But so right now it's still one big widespread population of Crocodylus acutus.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah.
All right. So, but they do cover nearly 18 countries, is it?
Yes.
Somewhere in there, they got a wide range, everywhere from Western Mexico to, of course, Southern Florida and Northern South America. Do you think there's the possibility, with all the new technology and DNA research that's being done, that there could be legitimately different species?
This has been an ongoing discussion, and if there's going to be two different species, it would be the Pacific side of Acutus versus that Atlantic Ocean, or like that the eastern side, that it would also include the Caribbean islands, because those animals are moving a lot. So you have a lot of genetic flow in that sense, in that whole area, where there's pretty much a cutoff between the west side of Central America and the east side of Central America. So that's where I just always thought, if there's going to be a distinction, it's going to be between, like, in a sense, like Pacific versus Atlantic.
That makes sense. So with the breakup between Eastern and Western Central America, I'm going to assume now it's mostly due to human influence, human disturbances to habitat.
Correct. Yes.
So then another, I guess, debatable or philosophical thing to ask is, they're too close together in time. Is it possible that either A, we're just making new discoveries because of new DNA technologies? I mean, in my lifetime, I didn't learn DNA fingerprinting, gel electrophoresis. When I went to college, my genetics classes were very simple. Yeah. So I really can't keep up with what's going on and how we're delineating a species from where's the difference in the DNA? How significant is it? But on the other hand, is it also possible that at the same time this discovery is coming on, we've isolated populations which change gene pools, and maybe we're actually seeing evolution in our lifetime?
So, and this is something that Helen has tapped into with her dissertation, because one thing that she was finding is the rate of hybridization between the American crocodile and the Morlet's crocodile. And technically, we are seeing the evolution of a new species through those two species. And that's something else that my question in regard to that other paper was, similar to Belize, we have a population far out in the Keys where it is pure American crocodiles. But then the crocodiles that are closer to the mainland, they're all mixed up and jumbled with Morlet's crocodile. So is that what they were kind of seeing, more of like a pure genetic population versus a hybrid population? But what Helen was finding, though, was the amount of hybridization. Like, pretty much what she found was the majority of crocodiles in our country, they're all hybrids. There's practically no pure Morlet's crocodiles left. There's pretty much no pure American crocodiles left. So the evolution of a new species is absolutely possible. And that's something that Helen pretty much showed in her thesis.
That is a very interesting thing to add, especially when you get arguments for and against evolution, because it's not visible in our lifetime. We can't see it, but this is a perfect example. And it's only happening in Belize as far as the interbreeding, right? The Mexican population of Morlets isn't as interbred.
If I believe they are in Mexico as well. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that answered my next question, because that was going to be my next question. If we haven't decided if the other two are a new species yet on their own, what role was the hybridization, the interbreeding in the wild going to play? So that is a very interesting thing to hear. Now, as far as the CRC, you're obviously looking to help habitats, work in conservation. So one of the things you're going to need are funds. So one of the things I want to be able to do is let my viewers know what few we have, but we are growing, ways that they can reach out and help. I'm hoping that Croc Chat reaches a point with sponsorships that I can start making money that can donate. But you mentioned some of your fun things you have coming up, including a little marathon in Croctober.
Yeah, so we have a marathon. It's the Croc Run. It's our third annual Croc Run. And this is to raise funds for our Next Gen Croc group. One thing I always love to tell people is conservation is not just about wildlife, it's about people. And if we want to ensure the long-term success of any conservation and management program, people need to be involved. They need to be educated. They need to understand that they are the stewards of the area. Organizations, we are just a catalyst. What's going to ensure long-term conservation success? It's the people. So with that being said, our Croc Run is to raise funds for our wildlife youth program, Next Gen Croc. And this is a group of students between 10 and 14 years old. There's 7 of them. And this is not just an environmental club. This isn't, let's just go see alligators, let's go just see crocodiles. So this is a group that they learn how to utilize GPS. They learn how to fill out data sheets. They learn how to use Excel like right away, because they need to, after looking at data, they need to then input that data into an Excel sheet. I have had them write reports before. So they are getting a strong foundation of what it's like to be a conservationist as well as a scientist. And later this afternoon, I'm actually meeting up with them because we're going to be going over crocodile observations. Because anyone that comes, when we just head over to our facility to feed our crocs, train our crocs, we do observations with them. And so they are going to learn how to pretty much fill out an ethogram, an animal ethogram. And again, these are 10 to 14-year-old kids, students. So we have our Croc Run that's coming up for anyone that wants to come to Belize within a couple of weeks, October 26th. You can head and participate in our Croc Run. Also, we do have a virtual option as well. So if you can't come to Belize, you can still support us by running virtually. And you just need to head to our Facebook event page, and you can find all the information there. Other ways that you can help us with our funding, we have an Adopt a Croc program. So you can either choose a crocodile. We have someone that loves our crocodile, Savannah. Savannah is a 6-foot Morlet's crocodile that is very sassy. And we have someone that every month, it's $50 a month. The woman gets an update about Savannah, and she also gets a video. So every month, it's a nice little write-up as well as your own personal video. Or you can just say, hey, I'd like to hear about all the crocs a different month, and so you can kind of do this round robin. That's another way. For anyone that is learning to or wants to learn more about conservation, science, research, we have wildlife conservation courses. Also, you can come volunteer with us any time of the year. And we have a virtual wildlife course as well. So we are concluding our virtual course right now, and our next one will be in March. So there's a few ways that you can absolutely assist us in our conservation efforts. And also, you can always donate some equipment or even art supplies to us.
All right, well, I'm definitely going to make sure there is a link to your website in the description. I'm going to, when I edit this, make sure that it's on the screen so people can see it while we're talking about it. If anybody out there is interested in croc conservation, this is an excellent organization. You've heard what they're doing. As far as that Croc Run, though, don't they have to wear costumes?
Oh, yes. So there's 2 parts of this Croc Run. You can either do the half marathon, or you can do the 5K. The 5K, you can wear a costume, and there will be a best costume contest.
And from what I understand, you have a special award for 3 category winners in the costumes.
Yes, and we have, for the costumes, we've had these lovely donations from some of our local resorts. So one of the resorts is deep in the jungle. They've donated a 2-night stay there, and we've had a couple of other nice donations for the costume contest winners.
Am I allowed to share one of them in this video when we edit?
Oh, sure.
You know what one I'm talking about, I hope.
I don't know.
My artwork.
Oh, yes, and your artwork. Yes.
I was lucky enough that they accepted 3 pieces of art. It's actually 1 piece of art with 3 different titles on it for the 3 different categories. But
yes, that's right. Thank you.
An American crocodile with a gold medal around his neck. So okay, that's all right.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah. It's like,
just got the email to Sarah before I met with you saying that she's got the final prints and getting ready to print them out and all. So I want to say thank you so much for letting me speak with you and joining me here on Croc Chat. It means a lot to me to be able to chat with people in the field, professional background, doctorate, actually doing the research and not just promoting it the way I get to do, but seeing it firsthand out there in the wild. So thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for the invite. I appreciate it.
All right. I really appreciate it. Thank you for watching our first podcast episode here on Croc Chat. And again, a special thanks to Dr. Marisa Tellez and all the hard work that the CRC is doing to help the crocodiles of Belize. I also want to point out that I am leaving a link to their website in the description so we can check out all the programs and ways we can help the CRC and their conservation efforts. Also, we have an incredible lineup planned for future podcasts, so make sure you come back and check out more. Until then, later, Gator.